That's very strange. Try it now. Oh, poop. 1 second, I know what happened. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Okay, try it now, because I forgot I switched my headphone input device. Hey!
Hello, everybody. I am Angela. I am your DM for this evening. We will be continuing our story at Chapter 4 of Shenanigoons, The Book of Faebles. This episode, this week. It's been a week since our young adventurers were lost together in the Book of Faebles. Hesitant was the word I was looking for. Hesitant to call it the Feywild specifically, but they will have to ascertain the nature of the place that they're in. But let's do a little bit of shout outs right now. First of all, thank you all, and thank you Kajari for rating us. You guys are amazing, and we love having you around for the stream. I heard through the grapevine, a little goblin told me some things that were happening. Some things with fire, some things were being set on fire. That's what I heard. But so I hope you guys are doing really well. I hope the game went well. And what we will be doing is talking a little bit about the amazing people that help us actually put this stream on. We are sponsored by some really, really kick-ass companies, some amazing groups of people that work really, really hard in their industries, and I will talk about them now. The most obvious of which is that we are sponsored by Eldritch Foundry, which is where our character icons all came from. Eldritch Foundry is an amazing tool that you can build your own character miniatures and order them and have them physically with you, or you can get digital versions for icons or for top-down map items, which is awesome. The idea that you can have your top-down maps for your more strategic games, tabletop role-playing games, and you can have your actually designed little figure in that sort of top view, which is super duper neat. And you'll get access to our full designs very soon. We'll make them available so you can actually check out what everybody looks like. And I will be working on getting some full colored versions, which will be very, very fun. I'm excited about that, but it's a little bit of a side project, so I will do it soon. But yes, please check them out at eldritch-foundry.com. We put a link in the chat. Thank you, Heather. And please check them out and tell them we sent you, and we hope we'll have some really cool stuff to offer for you to use them very, very soon. We are also sponsored by World Anvil, which I have been using increasingly lately for not just our show stuff, but for personal projects and for RP projects. But World Anvil is an incredible campaign management and world building software that you should definitely check out if you are a writer or a DM or just somebody who really enjoys setting building. There are some really incredible tools that you can use, even starting out for free. If you decide you want to help support them, they are the lifeblood of World Anvil is their community, the incredible creators and people who support them both emotionally and financially. So please consider becoming a guild member on World Anvil. You can get some customization features like a custom URL, which is super rad, and some really neat extra features that you will just be so excited about. One of the bigger ones that I've been playing around with is their tables that they now have. You can make rollable like loot tables if you wanted, or things that are searchable. I actually am using it for a campaign right now, which takes place in a very large swatch of area, and we have travel distances and times on a table that you can search through live. So you start typing in a location and it just immediately starts narrowing the results down based on your terms, so people can find how long it's going to take where they want to go. It's very helpful, so I highly recommend you check out some of the other things that people are doing with World Anvil, and check them out at worldanvil.com. You can find in our chat, thank you again, Heather, the link to our current world, which I will be rolling out some information about the place we're currently in very soon. And so check them out at worldanvil.com and light up the forge. Tessa, would you like to tell the fine people about our final sponsor?
You know what? I really, really would like to tell them about our final sponsor, because you know what?
Excellent.
It's the holidays coming up. And as your resident Dice Dragon, I just have to let you all in on a little secret. Die Hard Dice is having a holiday sale. It actually started yesterday. And so in the holiday sale, all of their items have a standard 10% discount going on. And you might say, well, Tessa, your monthly code gives me a 10% discount. How is that a help to me? For the length of the sale, if you use our code, which I do believe is Nerdsmith-NOV, it is increased to 15% during the sale, not just 10. So it's an extra 5% off when you order using our discount code for the length of the Die Hard Dice holiday sale. In addition, not only is this a holiday sale where we can get goodies, we get to give goodies. So a new line of dice has been announced, and each dice set will not only help us keep our stream going that you guys purchase, it will be matched by a dice set that is being donated to an after-school program to help kids learn how to play D&D, develop the creative tools, creative problem solving. So not only will you get some awesome dice, you're also giving back to a greater community. So if you go to dieharddice.com and enter in the code Nerdsmith-November, NOV, at the checkout, you will get some goodies and be giving some goodies. So thank you, Die Hard Dice, for being a sponsor of Nerdsmith.
I'll put it in chat as well.
Yes. I cannot tell you what the names of the sets are, as they have not yet been released to me. But as soon as they are there, I'll let you know which sets they are. But I can say they are very colorful, and if you look for something maybe in a blue, purple, green, metallic spectrum, you might find them. So, they're very pretty. So, thank you, everybody. Be sure to go visit Die Hard Dice and let them know that Nerdsmith sent you.
Heck yeah.
And I posted the link to the sale page.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you, Heather.
No problem.
Always 120% on top of things, so thank you. Much appreciated. With one more bit of bookkeeping, Kyle, can you make Harland your name? That will assist me as we go over what happened previously on Shenanigoons. So, just as a really quick review, last week we continued the adventures of our split party, not split of their own volition, of course, and we had Beza, Harland, and their existential turtle friend Gura, encountering a knight of Her Majesty of the Hunt, a queen of this realm. The knight was a Loxodon, an elephant, who introduced himself as Sir Tuskendale, very graciously named by our audience. Thank you. And Sir Tuskendale and his mount, a rhinoceros panther named Dunbus, Yep. Yeah, I'm just excited because we get to see Kyle react to all this stuff. They took it upon themselves, after being told that these strangers were also hunters. They were on the hunt for a rare paru, Sir Tuscandale was more than happy to assist in their endeavor. It was eventually clarified that this was a friend of theirs and they weren't going to be killing the paru. But Sir Tuscandale eventually, I guess, impressed Beza a little bit with his hunting prowess, and they got to talking, and it seems that Sir Tuscandale has decided that since Beza seems to have a hunter's spirit, that he would be taking it upon himself to take on Beza as a squire. So she is currently Squire Beza. One will have to find out if that entails any sort of responsibilities or loyalty requirements, but we'll have to find that out.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
What were you going to say, Heather?
I was going to say, to be fair, it was either talk to Sir Tuscandale or talk with Harland and Gura about existential timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly stuff.
And Angela was not prepared to have that conversation in any sort of verisimilitude to Kyle's voice. So I'm very glad you chose speaking to Sir Tuscandale. So as this was happening, I'll do a run through of what each side was doing. So you all are just following the trail of your friend Paru, and you are on the hunt for a giant. You realize you're also heading in the direction of a giant raven. Unbeknownst to you, initially, Paru woke up underground and made herself a little mushroom friend, saving him from a giant mole creature of some kind. She made a friend with a little, let's call him enthusiastic, little pudge of a mushroom, whose name was Sniffs, because she discovered that his method of we did determine involuntary communication was this poor little mushroom had some allergies, so he was repeatedly sneezing and sending spores into the air, and he didn't know how to be a vampire. He didn't have the appropriate etiquette. But this is a fantasy world in which that's okay. I'm sorry if that really upset anyone or like hit a sore spot for anybody to have someone sneezing in Paru's face, but it happened. It's fine. We move on. And so she made friends with this little guy named Sniffs, and Sniffs led her through the caves of the underground, apparently a different direction than Beza and Harlan had taken before, and they Paru and Sniffs met some bigger mushroom people. Paru made a friend with a sort of coral-looking mushroom person with lots of little arms and legs, and then Sniffs led her to the surface, back looking for her friends. Immediately upon going to the surface, a giant raven perched on the ground behind them and proceeded to start talking. This very smooth-talking raven was apparently in the neighborhood, and upon hearing Paru's story and finding out that she's certainly not from around here, decided that her lady would be interested in meeting Paru and perhaps could help locate her other friends. And so the raven picked up Sniffs and Paru and flew a very, very long way along the land, giving Paru a nice bird's eye view of a lot of the forest that they had not yet explored, and arrived in a overturned log, which was the size of a building, where Her Majesty of the Vine resided. A little later, Beza and Harland and company came upon the landing place of this raven, and when Sir Tuscandale realized that perhaps their quarry were headed in the same direction, he got a little enthusiastic, and they started barreling towards where the raven had journeyed, coming across a large briar wall that they had to knock down, and then a corn maze. It was a maze because I liked the pun. Where a large collection, a large village of Minotaur resided. They weren't happy about their walls being knocked down. But before that was resolved, Paru met Her Majesty of the Vine, and Her Majesty of the Vine was very interested in her story, especially the idea of being from a book, and wanted to hear more, wanted to meet her friends, and then helped with the aid of her connection to nature, and specifically her vine network that she seems to have some control over, was able to identify and locate Harland and Beza. Was not able to find Oliette, though. Oliette or Villain. They seem to be outside her realm, or outside of her her ability to sense them. The Minotaur, led by Midge, who appeared to be a druid of some kind, a large femme-presenting Minotaur. She got the word from some vines that after getting into a bit of a staring down match with Sir Tuscandale, and a bit of some harsh words were exchanged.
She heard it through the grapevine.
She everyone ships them, apparently. I didn't do that. But she finally acknowledges that, all right, her mama, as she called her, Her Majesty of the Vine, was going to be interested in speaking to them. So she created a subway stairwell down into the ground, which led them to the court of the queens. I don't remember if y'all had learned about the queensdom that last episode. So they learned...
we learned a little from the original book.
Right. So... hi, Mr. Blank. Hi, Mr. Blanks. So the idea is that you are in a queensdom, a place that a number of queens were married to a king. They overthrew him and took over. There are many queens. They are all still married. Some of them are actually together, including Her Majesty of the Vine and Her Majesty of the Word, who you met right at the end. Her Majesty of the... So all of you get back together. You are reunited in the court of Her Majesty of the Vine, and she proceeds to question you a little bit, ask you where you're from, what's going on. And when you start to tell her the tale and mention the other things that had come out of other books, Her Majesty of the Vine grew very quiet and concerned, and began to make reference to someone, a male someone who might be... She implied that you might have gotten caught up in a test run of some kind, and when she brought you via some sort of teleportation, it seemed as though the room was changing around you rather than you were moving. You found yourselves in a very large, identical royal court with identical 6 seats, except this place looked like a massive, tall, instead of a tall tree being on the inside, it appeared like you were inside a giant marble column. And it all seemed to match one of the other thrones. And in that throne, the massive concrete straight line throne, you found Her Majesty of the Word, a very large elven woman. Large as in like 9 feet tall, slender elven woman in like a white lace dress. And she and her beloved, Her Majesty of the Vine, a minotaur, very large minotaur woman, started to converse. And you all eventually found out that the person that they were talking about, who might be weaving his dark deeds, was the queen's, as they referred to him, their late husband. So there is some concern there that maybe there is a little bit of dark magic at work here that might have caused you to arrive in the book in the first place and might be continuing to happen around. And that's where we left off. So you are currently in the court of Her Majesty of the Word. It is just the three of you and Gura, the turtle, and Sir Tuskendale. Dunbus can actually fit in the room, so he's here too, just kind of like, why am I here? It's because Sir Tuskendale's riding him. And so you are all gathered as the two queens are preparing to say call in the cavalry. They have discussed maybe bringing in a council of the queens to have some discussions. But the three of you are all reconnected, and you share a bit of your adventures of what you've been up to. And Her Majesty of the Vine has proceeded to explain that they are concerned that their late husband might be to blame for all of this. And that is where we will return to our story. Her Majesty doesn't explain everything right away. She seems a little unsettled as she says, "Our late husband might be to blame for all of this. We will have to put out some feelers, so to speak."
Does he need a pocket watch? I've heard that can help sometimes if people are late.
Yeah, maybe if y'all just wait, he'll show up.
Her Majesty of the Word. And you see the Minotaur, who's speaking to you, look back. "Dear, be nice." And Her Majesty of the Word just, "I said nothing." Word meanings are important, dear, and disambiguation is vital. We mean deceased. At least we thought so. And the elven woman just has her arms crossed in her very elegant gown, but she seems very perturbed by all of this.
So
I'm sorry for your loss.
More sorry to have found him, apparently.
So we got yanked into a book by a dead guy?
Well, Her Majesty of the Vine, we were hoping that perhaps it wouldn't have been the case, but all evidence seems to point, especially to, and she looks to her wife, and the Minotaur woman says, "They saw the gauntlet of a gargoyle come out of the book they say we are in." And Her Majesty of the Word sort of has this look on her face like, are we playing that game? "They saw the gauntlet come out of the book." And Her Majesty of the Word's like, "Well, that would certainly be dear old husband."
Technically, we didn't actually see it come out of the book, but we saw it crawling across the floor.
Yeah, it just like grabbed him by the ankle and just was kind of like hanging out down there.
But we did see
For a
the
bit.
page that it belonged on in the book.
Oh, right, yeah, we did do that.
Yep, there was a big empty space where the claw thing should have been.
So we drew the logical conclusion was that it came from the book, considering we'd seen Harlan's storm that was behind the book about the storms, and I still want to know where the fire weasel was from.
Her Majesty of the Word nods. "That does seem sound logic. I approve. And if it is in fact the one we think it is, that would speak to the idea that our husband's entourage has made efforts to exit their, I hesitate to call it a home. Prison might be a better word for it."
Oh shoot, Mom always said that home is where the rump rests, so wherever their rumps are resting, that the shoe may fit.
Her Majesty of the Vine is like kind of anxiously picking at her teeth, like, "Oh, we were hoping it'd be under the ground." And Her Majesty of the Word, regardless, the the gauntlet you saw, how large was it? Would you say, like,
About gargoyle sized.
it was about like a humanoid sized hand?
Oh, it's about like mine.
Interesting. Well, our wife, Her Majesty of the Hunt, would be the one to speak on this. The gargoyle was one of her quarry. Knight, you would know of this, perhaps? And Sir Tuskendale kind of, he'd been like sort of watching Dunbus, and when his title is announced, he suddenly gets very straight. Your Majesty, yes. The gargoyle, that is something of quite a story among her coterie, but yes, I do vaguely remember a story of Her Majesty defeating a great stone creature with great wings and a whipping tail, forked at the end in quite a dangerous way, and a massive spear in its hand, and it was no match for my lady, I do say so. Her Majesty of the Word nods, and good. Well, then perhaps we can beseech her to explain where the rest of the gargoyle might have gone. And she walks towards the center of the round room you're in, just sort of gliding almost. She's very careful with her steps, and she lifts her hands up, and a sort of pedestal, a book pedestal, rises from the ground, and almost in like a spiral, and it stops right where she was standing, opened, and there's a very large tome, very dense. If any of you get a view of the pages, it is just like the tiniest font with the tiniest margins, and just the whole thing, it's like single spaced. It's atrocious for readability. And she just puts her middle finger on the page and just kind of glances through it, through the lines. If she's reading incredibly fast and sort of not in the order you would think the letters go, but some of you don't know how to read, so I'm just assuming you're going with it. Honestly, I'm not sure any of you know how to read. Okay, Farah knows how to read, but you're too short, you can't see what's happening.
Is only 3. She's only 3, so she reads, but not well.
Oh, but you can't see what's happening, so it really doesn't matter. Anyway, that's just flavor for me then. So as she's kind of scanning through the book, and she flips a page and she's scanning through the book again, it's not so much like she's reading, she's almost meditating. And Paru, this is very similar to what Her Majesty of the Vine was doing. And as she's reading through this book, there's a shadow that sort of fills the room. Almost like just the light, that inherent sort of cold light that had filled the column that you were in has just started dimming a bit. And it's hard to notice it happening until it's already happened, that the room has changed again. It has shifted to another aesthetic. You are now in what seems to be a very round, again, it seems like all of the courts are going to be round, cobblestone and brick building, again, super tall, straight up, and when you look, there's nothing but fog with a bit of light behind it in the ceiling. It goes seemingly into nothing. And around you, this place, despite how huge it is, feels very cozy. There are tapestries on the walls. Behind every one of the thrones is a fireplace, roaring with warm light and fire. On the walls, there are mounted heads of monsters and beasts that have been hunted and displayed, like horrifying things that you've never imagined would exist. And they look very
Gaston's
angry.
bar, basically.
It is ironically looking exactly like
Okay.
one of the thrones, which was almost entirely made of bone and teeth and antlers, except for the seat.
She used antlers and all of
It
her
was like
decorating.
iron.
Got it.
She does use antlers in all of her decorating. And you are in another throne room, seemingly matching this throne made of antler. However, this time, when you arrive, there is no queen sitting in her appropriate seat. Her throne is empty. And the two queens in front of you are very confused by this. But it does not take long for them to just sort of hang their heads in resignation. She's on a walkabout again, isn't she? The Queen of the Vine says. And Sir Tuskendale is like, one can never really tie down a Queen of the Hunt. I must say, it is one of her most endearing and slightly frustrating qualities. And the queens ask him where she could have gone, and Sir Tuskendale says, "Well, if she is not here in her domicile, she very well could be above in the Overlook. We could check." And Sir Tuskendale heads for a door. There is a large wooden door. It kind of looks like a big church door. It's very tall. And he reaches for the door and tugs, and nothing happens. Sorry. It's a long walk, just gotta stretch out. It's fine. It's all right. This just might have been jammed. This door, none of you know. But Sir Tuskendale reaches out with a big, meaty, armored hand again, and tugs on the handle.
Maybe you need to unlock it first.
And he looks down. There's no lock.
Well, then I just don't know.
And the queens are like, "Is there a problem, Sir Knight?" It's fine. It's just, this place is well lived in, and occasionally there are little bumps and jams here and there. And Gura behind you, Harland, is like, "Gura could go for some jam right now." And their majesties walk up to the door and sort of inspect it, and Her Majesty of the Vine is like, "This won't be that hard." And she lifts her arms up, and you see a bunch of vining break from the ground, just sort of like between the bricks on the floor, and the vines grow bigger and bigger and tougher, and they start circling the handles of the door. They're sort of like knocker handles, and then like around the outside of the edges of the door, and like they seem to be seeping in. And as she's doing that, you see on the edges of the door frame, the vines are like rotting as she's trying to get into the door, and her face is very like furrowed in concentration. And as she's looking around, she sort of stops and pulls them back. And as the vines are like trying to grow back into the ground, they're kind of breaking off. Like they're trying to pull away and have to leave some of themselves in the door and just sort of shrink away. Something is very wrong.
That doesn't seem right. Would you like me to try and ask the Gaba Yaga for help? I don't know what else to do. I'm not very helpful.
Well, that's entirely not true, dear, but it would not hurt, I suppose. And she's looking at Her Majesty of the Word, and they're both sort of passing a concerned eye. But you're given leave to do as you will.
Alright, she's going to reach up and pull one of her braids down from inside her hat and take a small pair of shears and just snip and do her folk ability.
Okay.
Which is basically...
Tell me what you are looking to
she's
get.
trying to determine the best course of action. I know that augury is not quite... Let me see here.
It's not super transparent.
Yeah, it's wheel woe or anything like that.
Yeah.
She's more of just
So
trying
what
to
are
get, like, has something bad happened, or did she just, like, go on a walk, kind of, is what she's trying to to ascertain. So she sits down.
So give me, I was gonna say, give me a question. That would get yes, no, or mixed.
Is the Lady of the Hunt in danger?
You get a very confident yes sort of vibe from that. You get a sense of darkness, not direct darkness, but just like almost you get sort of that feeling when you see a storm on the horizon. Big and grand and almost beautiful, but if it's dark enough, it's disturbing.
She is not safe. Something is wrong. It's like there's a big something looming on the horizon. It's really, really dark, and it's coming, and she is... I don't know where she is, but I do know that it's not somewhere good, and it's not somewhere safe.
All right, then. Well, I would say we should, I hate to say this. It is not in my nature. But if leaving the court resulted in her coming into danger, and we don't know what his plans are, if this is in fact his doing, it might be for the best if we don't leave either. And Her Majesty of the Word is a little off-put by that suggestion, but at least until we figure out what happened to her.
We gotta stick here in this one, because we could go back to one of the other ones and try to open your doors over there. Maybe we'd have better help.
Well,
That is fair.
Or do we need to warn the other ladies to not leave?
She has a point, dear. And the two queens speak a little bit. Here's what we'll do. We will deal with the others. We will deal with our wives. Make sure they are all right. But it would be best if we started sooner rather than later to see what is going on in Her Majesty of the Hunt's realm. If you would not mind, Sir Knight, Sir Tuskendale, Your Majesties, Sir Tuskendale, would you mind a bit of an information gathering mission on your lady's behalf at our behest? If it is for the safety of Her Majesty, I will gladly take the charge. Come, Squire, we shall be on the way.
Onward!
I believe it would... Your blue friend here has the way of it, though. We perhaps should start back where we began. And Her Majesty of the Vine does another sort of movement with her hands and lifting, and you see Vining breaking, sometimes mostly snaking through all the bricks, and they start just lining the walls to the point where you're just like in a room surrounded by these vertical vines that have just started like writhing together. It's kind of like a barrel of snakes. It's kind of unpleasant. But as they then descend and retract back into the ground, you're back in the tree. Her Majesty of the Vines version of the court, and you see an open doorway. There is no door in her domain, but you also see the pathway up to where you came in, where the Minotaurs were, and everything seems to be open here. Nothing out of the ordinary than when you arrived. And Her Majesty of the Vine nods to you all. It is probably for the best that you would leave this direction and make your way to the Overlook, and see if she's there. And Sir Tuskendale gives a very dramatic sort of knightly bow and pats Dunbus on the shoulder, and Dunbus starts heading towards the staircase where you all descended.
Beza copies his bow the best she can.
Wonderful.
And then
Perfect.
follows behind Dunbus.
Her Majesty of the Vine gives this sort of like, oh, bless her heart sort of smile. And Her Majesty of the Vine looks to you, Paru, and says, thank you for your assistance and for your the help of your Gaba Yaga?
Oh, you're very welcome. Yes, yes. Sometimes she lets me know what's going on, but it's not always 100%, but I try. It was very nice meeting you, Your Majesty.
It was a pleasure. I'm sure it will not be the last. Be safe. And Her Majesty of the Law has her arms crossed still, but not in a disgruntled way, more of a concerned way, like hugging her arms. And the two queens watch you ascend the staircase back up to the surface, which takes a few moments. It was a very tall stairwell in the ground. So yeah, y'all are underground, heading up to the surface.
And she's still holding Sniff's hands as they go up the stairs.
Yeah, Sniff's just
with
like,
us,
he's fine. He hasn't changed. He's just
we're
there.
just like chilling.
Yep, little mushroom friend with his little pod feet, like. Boop, 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 boop. He kind of walks up the stairs like a toddler, so you do help him a little bit. Like he's a little too short for the stairs. Just kind of a one step. It's very, like I said, it's very toddler. And you all climb the steps and see the open sky above you as you exit, and you are once again beside the walls of the maze. And you see Midrigal. She is standing there, the Minotaur woman with her kind of like poncho that she's wearing, and she's regrowing some of the wall that had been torn down by Sir Tuskendale, and I don't remember if Beza was helping. So it had been sort of chopped down, and she's regrowing it, and she turns and sees you, and it's like, that was quick. Everything all right?
Not exactly.
I sure hope it will be, though.
Yeah.
Ooh. She kind of scratches the back of her head. Some of the vining and briar that is over her shorter horns, making them look much bigger. They kind of twitch a little when she scratches. Well, what's not exactly? What does that mean?
The Lady of the Hunt is in danger. She's not in her throne room and can't get out, and we can't find her. So we have been sent on a fact-finding mission because the ladies could be in peril, and we want to make sure that they are not in peril.
And while we're at it, we're going to find a carpenter so that we can get that door back open again.
Yes.
I'm just gonna take what I heard from that and work from that. Not to say, reap what you sow, but hunting other members of other courts isn't really sportsmanlike for a lady of the hunt. And Sir Tuskendale goes, we were the raven entered our domain. And Midge looks at him like, her domain, and it's very important that we solidify the boundaries of our queensdom, so that there is no unpleasantness and everyone knows their place and everything is in that place.
Well, shoot, that don't sound like no fun.
But it is the way of things, young man. Sir Tuskendale's clearly, if he had feathers, they would be ruffled. And Midge, alright, so you're just, where you headed?
The overlook.
Oh, alright. Well, look that way, there it is. She points, and you see on the horizon where the mountains are, those tall isosceles mountains that were in the distance. They're not quite as far as they were before. You seem to have flown a little closer during your trip. And you see a very tall, little slanted in some spots, tower that you have seen multiple times now as you've been assessing this land. And that's what Midge is pointing to as the overlook. Yeah, that's where she hangs out. She hunts from there sometimes. It's like a blind.
Wasn't that where the narrator told Oliette we needed to go? Was the tower in the mountains?
Once again, I'm going to take what I hear and understand. So, talk amongst yourselves. She kind of returns back to the wall.
I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, there was a whole
I
lot
know
of mush
that
trees.
I know that I climbed the tree and I saw the tower in the distance. Maybe that's what you're thinking of?
I think so.
We were talking about heading there because we didn't know where else to go.
Okay. I just had a concern, because if the narrator is working for this dead king guy, and that's where we have to go, it's very scary.
Well, shoot, wouldn't it be a heck of a thing if the narrator was that scary undead guy?
I don't like that story, Harland.
That'd be bad because he's an Oliette's head. Oh no. Does that mean Oliette's possessed?
I don't know. I've never been in there, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
You used to be my brother.
We are going to be brave and adventure and do what is right. Okay. We can do this. All right, let's go. Thank you,
This is the spirit, young ones. To the mission. And Sir Tusken, onward, yes, Squire, you are quite adept at this job. 10% more of this is knowing the right call signals. So yes, and he gets on top of Dunbus. He mounts Dunbus's saddle, and the two very, very large creatures begin trotting towards in the direction of the Overlook Tower. It's big enough for one person, at least. No, we said that was big enough for the three. It's big enough for the three of you. And Gura is hanging out outside the door here, and he does not seem like he will be joining, because Angela doesn't want to have to deal with more NPCs talking to each other. But Gura starts watching Midrigal fixing the walls of the maze, and has seemed to get into a bit of a conversation with her, kind of talking her ear off while she's trying to work. It seems like he might have he might have more curiosity to sate here than with y'all during the your trip to the tower.
Okay, so we're all riding on Dunpus.
Because Angela likes to make things simple.
I'm okay with it. With a
And
small
Sniff
sized
doesn't
character,
really talk, so that helps.
What was that, Heather?
with us 2 small sized characters, it's not a bad thing if we have a mount.
So the group of you all sort of back to back on the mount, all head towards the tower. Now, knowing that you have permission, it seems that your going is pretty easy. You do not have a briar really in your way on the way that direction. If you do, you see that it's like a big break in the wall has already ungrown, I suppose you'd think about it. It seems like the dirt has been kicked up a little bit, like vining has regressed back into the ground. So Her Majesty of the Vine seems to be making your way as easy as she can. And so Sir Tuskendale escorts you, as he describes, across the boundaries to the realm of Her Majesty of the Hunt, once again in her lands, where you were there previously. You were on the edge. And he starts taking you through a very picturesque, fantastical wood. You see a lot of creatures running around. It's a lot more active here. But everything's bigger. You do catch a glimpse of a few of those, what were we calling them? Bearables. You see a couple of those running around, but they're not near you. But you do get a very quick flash of, oh, that was scary. And then also a little bit of a, I really hope Oliette and Verlaine are okay, if any of you are that concerned about Verlaine, really. He's a little bit of a jerk.
Probably because he helped her do crimes.
It's true. You were crime buddies.
We were crime buddies.
When we see the Bearables, Beza would definitely ask, "So Tuskendale, what exactly are those things?"
That's a bearable. They are an interesting creature, sort of a pack animal, but with a great herd defense mechanism. They just run at you in a big crowd. It's quite terrifying.
Yeah. That's what knocked us down on the ground.
Oh, that would do it. And he just sort of harumphs, and you continue on your way. I would, well, that's not that many of them. If you would like to make a detour, we could get your vengeance.
That's all right. I'm not sure if it's those ones that knocked us down into the crevasse.
Ah, I see.
No, there's a whole heck of a lot more of the other ones.
Not the type to sort of burn the whole family tree, as it were. I understand and I respect that. That's an honorable position to have. And
Revenge is one thing. Vengeance on the whole family's a whole nother.
Oh my, yes.
The best revenge is living well.
I have never heard that before. I suppose that could be a way you could look at it. To me, the best revenge is a good showing the next time you cross swords or blades or fangs or whatever it is that you fight with.
I always heard tell the best revenge is beating them in the pumpkin growing contest next year.
What?
I heard pumpkin grun, but then I think you said pumpkin growing. Is that what you said?
Yeah, pumpkin growing. Sorry,
Pumpkin grun is. Can someone write that down, because that sounds amazing?
A pumpkin grun. Yeah, you just
pumpkin grun is going to be
right in the front, and then you touch the back of it, and it's got a little bit of gunpowder in it, and it just kind of goes, punk. You know.
Well, Sir Tuskendale hears pumpkin grunt. He's like, "You make a competition out of those? My word, you are braver than I." and you continue traveling across these woods. And it's several miles to get to this tower. But before you get to the tower, you see Sir Tuscandale kind of, whoa there, Dunbus. That's quite far enough to be approaching the tower unannounced. And he hops off Dunbus and he encourages all of you. We will travel on foot the rest of the way. We will be safe from her sights as long as I have this. And he lifts up in his hand it's like a thick branch. It almost looks like birch. And on this, it's like a big, thick branch. It's only about this tall, though. In his hand, it's not that big. Kind of looks like a wand, but it kind of forks on it. And on it, you see carved into the wood a shape, like a symbol of some kind. What languages do you all speak?
Common, Elvish, Giant.
Okay.
Common, Giant, Gnomish, Sylvan.
You don't speak Giant yet, Beza.
No, I know. I forgot about that. Okay,
That's
so
fine, I'm
Common,
just telling you.
Gnomish, and Sylvan.
Okay,
I don't
so
remember what the Sylvan's from.
So I probably don't speak Druidic yet then either.
that's not what this is.
So then I speak
So it's fine.
Common, Goblin, and Vegapygmy.
It's not Vegapygmy either.
Okay.
Harland, you recognize this rune. It is in Giant. It is a rune of like protection and friendship. It's sort of a complicated concept. It seems to be less of a word of communication and more of a symbol.
Which is why
you
he
don't
understands it.
You don't recognize all of you don't recognize all of it, but like some of the curves definitely say friend. It's friend shaped. This rune is friend shaped. That is how you know, Harlan. So as you see this stick, you recognize that is what that rune stands for, and Sir Tuscandale is wielding it ahead of him. He's brandishing it, sort of, and saying, "This will indicate that we are here in peace and for her as part of her court, and she won't take aggressive action."
Which her are we referring to? There's been a lot of them.
Oh, my lady, Her Majesty of the Hunt.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, right.
When she is on the Overlook, she has quite a one-track mind. It is very important that we, differentiate ourselves so that she does not think we are some passing, quarry. And he looks a little nervous when he says that part.
So what you're saying is that we should stick really close to you?
Correct. That is very astute, Squire.
All right. And she sidles up right next to him.
Maybe best to be behind. As he walks forward with the branch, Dunbus is just sort of beside him, kind of hauling around, and then occasionally kind of bumps into him, and you can tell it's sort of a comfort thing. Dunbus just kind of shouldering him every so often. And Sir Tuscandale in his full plate armor, clink clanking across the ground, and you all start traveling in it's more of a meadow with some little spotted bits of trees here and there, and in the distance you see sort of the top of the tower where there's some trees, and you can kind of see the tower behind it.
She'd be able to see that stick from this far out.
Oh, it is not merely sight. Well, first of all, her sight is impeccable and quite impressive. But it's more than that. It is a connection to the actual object that protects us. She would know it is us by simply being within an eye distance of it.
So why you gotta hang on to it? Couldn't you just put it on a hat or something?
I don't want to lose it.
Well, that's fair.
I have a terrible, for such an expert hunter as I am, little objects, things that just need to be around on my person, I have a terrible habit of losing them.
You should get some tree sap.
Tree sap?
Yeah, that way you can just put a little bit of tree sap on whatever it is you need to keep near you and just stick it right to you, and it'll stay.
Oh my, I could not tarnish my armor with anything but the blood of my enemies.
Oh, that
It's
sure
that very,
rustles
like-
a bit faster than, than tree sap,
Hmm.
I don't know if you want to get that on your armor. That just seems like it'd be a problem.
Can everybody give me a perception check?
I can.
4. Anyone do better than a 4?
It's 16.
23.
23. Paru. In the distance, towards where you're going, you hear a crashing noise. And
So-
just
Something sounded
Distant.
real loud
Distant.
and like a big kind of like way off in the distance over there.
oh my, that would be Her Majesty. She might be having something in her sights right now. That's how exciting for her.
But
That
if
is
it's
clearly
us-
why we had trouble finding her before. She's clearly just busy on the hunt.
We're not in our sights, right? Like, because we're close to you and you got the magic stick, right?
Of course, we are safe.
Okay, because that
Her
sounded
Majesty
real
knows
scary.
to see. Oh, it is quite formidable. You need to see her great bow. It is impressive.
What's so great about it?
Very large.
Oh, right. That. All right.
It's also really awesome.
That would
That's
make
just
sense.
fine.
All the queens have been really big.
Oh yes, she is honestly one of the larger in terms of stature.
Must have a lot of corn around here.
Well, I mean, we
Why
went through the
would you-
maze already.
Yes, that's mostly Her Majesty of the Vine's purview, I would say.
But no, it's just it's saying back home, corn fed,
Yeah, it
it's
means you
just-
grow big toes.
They get nice and tall and reinforced,
Mhm,
as it were.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Let
I
us
don't understand
continue.
the eating thing.
Oh well, Squire, you will have to learn to wine and dine with the best of them if you are to be a part of our order.
But she don't drink nothing.
You don't drink.
I don't have to eat a drink.
Is it just not legal for you to do so yet? You are very
Probably.
tiny.
I mean, that might be the case. I'm only like 48 now, hours old, something like that. But also, I don't have to eat a drink. I also don't have to breathe.
Well, you are just full of surprises. Then I will take what seemed to be a deficiency and make it quite an edge you would have on those who you could compete with in hunts. To not have to breathe, you could be under the water waiting for your prey. Oh, the possibilities! Very exciting, very, very exciting indeed, Squire.
I'm pretty dense though. I think I'd sink.
Well, we shall get you some swimming lessons then.
That doesn't
All
mean
right.
you couldn't walk along the bottom and then just suddenly, whatcha!
Oh, I like this wacha plan. This sounds very, very stealthy and not at all my style, but to each their own.
That sounds like a plan.
Well, Paru. A little closer.
Does it seem
So
like
tuck
it's
in
like the shot is
The shots are getting louder.
they're getting louder, but does it seem like the projectile whistle might be coming our direction, or am I not quite?
You just hear a crash. You just
Okay.
hear a crash. Same thing, just a little louder.
That
And
one's,
Sir Tuskendale
sounding closer.
Do not fear. Her Majesty seems very formidable, I promise. This will keep us safe. She would know this a mile away, which is about how far her vision goes. So we will be safe. It seems like Sir Tuscandale might laugh when he's nervous, but he's trying to be very confident here.
Okay. I got a question.
Yes, Squire, ask away.
All right, so she can see the symbol, but she won't shoot us.
Correct.
But what's to stop the thing she's hunting from coming at us?
Our own strength and ingenuity.
All right.
What is a little danger when it comes to the great adventures you could have? And he is definitely Seahawk now. Oh god.
Oh god, what if she's shooting at Oliette? And Villain?
Well, I certainly hope not. Are your friends shaped like prey?
Well,
They're shaped
They're
like
like us.
Oh, well, that is a very unusual quarry, so they're probably fine. She does
I
not
think we should hurry.
As much as some people may call it the most dangerous of game, I personally think that dire dragons are quite worse. But you know, it's fine. I do not ascribe to the idea of hunting humanoids or people of most kind, ravens accepted.
You've hunted a dragon?
Oh, well, when I was a young squire like you, yes, one of my first missions with my mentor was hunting a great dragon.
No, I'm not fireproof.
What's the difference between a dire dragon and a great dragon? Is one much bigger than the other, or are they the same size?
Much, much bigger.
Be awesome, and it would be shaped like a bow.
Yes. What?
Well, it's
That's
a
very
great bow,
confusing.
so it would be a great dragon. Yeah, they'd be shaped
Right,
the same.
that logic follows.
The same
I mean-
adjective.
I guess if it swallowed me, I could still breathe, so I could cut my way out.
You thinking of all the angles, squire. I am very proud of you. You will do so well. You all continue walking, and you enter into like a little bit of a wooded space, tall trees. You don't see the tower anymore from where you're going, and now all of you hear. It took a little longer for that one, but the boom was much louder. I'm sorry if that was really loud in the mic. I didn't. Oh, well, that was quite a close one. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Perhaps
I
you
don't
should
know if
announce
anybody-
yourself
is it-
somehow, maybe vocally?
Yeah.
Oh, that is true. Silly me. Yes, of course. And he walks over to one side of Dunbus where there's the large, like, hunter's horn. And Sir Tuscandale puts his trunk about a foot into the horn and just goes. And you can all listen. You don't hear anything. Well, that must have done it. And you all continue walking. See, very good. You know, if I didn't already have a squire, you would be a close second, young little one, says Tapar.
Part of
Quite
looks over
quick on
and
your
sniffs
feet,
like,
you are.
what? Probably not Paros Jam at all. Paros Jam is like...
Sniffs is just like no face, but you still get that sort of thing.
like,
that sort of expression, that mime from him, like, what?
Yeah. She like, yeah, can you believe this kind of like attitude?
So you all make your way through the woods, and you reach the break point. You're walking over leaves and sticks and logs and rocks and stuff, trying to get through. And when you break the line of the trees, you're in a large field where you see the tower in the distance. Everybody please make a dex save.
I dropped my die.
Fully dex is actually something I have. It's a 19.
19.
A 1?
A nat
Yep.
one?
Natural 1.
Oh,
it's a
no.
3, but it's a natural 1, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. That's great. Great.
It'll be
Awesome.
fine. It'll be fine.
It'll be a 3-year-old
It's
child just
It's fine.
murdered.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. If I say it enough, it'll be real.
Sure. Yeah. That's how it works.
Delightful. What was everybody else's?
A 14.
14?
19.
19. Okay.
My dex is +3.
Yeah. No, I gotcha.
Guess what kind of fighter I am?
All right, so anyone who rolled under a 10. So you don't see it right away, but that noise that catches your eye, and you look at the tower and you see a massive, like the size of a goddamn tree trunk of a projectile heading towards you, and you all just dive out of the way as best you can, and there
I'm
is
just
just
so
a
very tiny, I couldn't see it.
more just like your feet aren't going to carry you far enough to get out of the way. And you will all anyone anyone roll under a 10 was that just Paru?
Yep, just me. It
Okay.
was nice knowing you all.
Okay.
It's alright.
Okay, mushrooms grow in trees.
Yep, it's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yep.
You take 10 bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
Um
I'm alright.
and so what happens is that this arrow hits the ground and rocks just fly everywhere, and Paru, you just get boom, like smacked by a boulder that's just kind of like sailing and rolling out of the way. And you and Sniffs have not let go, and so you're rolling, and Sniffs kind of like whoa. You spin out, and everybody else takes 5 bludgeoning damage, as just little things like, and just the momentum of, leaping out of the way and hitting the ground kind of startles you. And Dunbus has just kind of galloped off, and Sir Tuskendale also tried to leap out of the way. I didn't actually roll for him. Oh, he's fine. Sir Dunbus, with a crazy speed that you did not expect from him, he's very limber for an elephant, also leaps out of the way, but takes a little ding on the shoulder. You can hear when things hit him because it's just like rain on a tin roof, on him. But you all kind of cower at the dust. What? Oh, Dunbus, wait! The horn. And he kind of takes a breath, just coughing up dust. Oh, maybe I need to get out of the dust before I try again. And he gets up and, is everyone all alive? Everyone?
Ow!
I don't understand. She should have known that this was us. And he sort of
And
raises the branch and kind of waves it.
I think we just better hack it.
remember.
What if something's wrong and the queen shooting at us?
Exactly. Remember my vision? Something's bad. Ow. Are you okay, Sniffs?
If something has befallen my queen, I must be there to assist her. And everyone make another dex save.
Oh God.
You should maybe get rid of that dice.
This guy is.
Yep.
Do you want me to take a picture and share it
No.
with you? I haven't touched
Why
it.
Why would you think that? This is okay.
Delightful.
This is okay.
I'm checking on Sniffs and I wasn't paying attention, making sure Sniffs
Yeah.
was okay.
You were helping him up. Helping him up. He had a rock embedded in him, and you pull it out, and he's just like,
poor baby.
he's like, "Bloop," and just kind of like smooshes back.
Like,
It was a little dent. So we have a nat 1,
Dirty 20.
dirty 20. Okay.
11.
11. Okay, you just made it, Harlan. Anybody under a 10 takes. This is okay. Takes 4 damage. It's all right. You did okay, Para. And you all, the rest of you take, except for no, the rest of you take 2 damage. You were prepared this time. Also, this one seemed a little bit off, but so. And just rocks everywhere. You're probably correct. We should probably leave right now. All right, everyone, just run to the tower. If we're closer to the tower, she can't shoot down at the tower, right? We're trying to get to the overlook.
Is there like a way that we can run through trees to get to the overlook? Or
There are like trees and stones smattered around the way to go. So you could run forward and try to take cover.
Ara was like limping as fast as she can to go.
Sir Tuscandale sees you and goes, "May I, young lady? May I assist?"
Yes, please.
Okay. And he picks you up and just picks you and Sniffs up and just starts booking it towards a cropping of stones. So what is everybody's speed?
30.
Out of
I am
curiosity.
remarkably fast for a goblin-looking thing.
Well, you're sure, but you're also being
I'm also
carried
at a
by.
third of my hit
That's
points
enough.
right now, so.
What was yours, Beza?
25. So,
Okay.
I mean, I'll be a little behind,
Okay,
but if I'm running, I'll not be too far.
Sure. Kyle or Harland?
30.
30? Okay. Yeah. I don't know why I checked that. It would you're gonna be 30 if you're not 25. So you all book it, dashing towards this cropping of stone. And can I get a what do I want that to be? Everyone give me a constitution check.
Including me, even though I'm being carried?
You're fine. I'll roll for you. Yeah. Sir Tuscandale has quite the constitution.
I
He
can
is
imagine.
more than capable of carrying a small goblin child and her very, very small mushroom friend.
12 for me.
22.
22. What was that, Harland?
A 12.
12. Okay. So you are all sprinting. Beza, it's like you're built for it. It's exactly what Sir Tuscandale said. You know, you're built for physical activity. And so you're just like heading there. Harland, you've run before. It's not like competitive running. And you are slowly sinking to the back of the race of people. This is not going to be one of those situations where everybody's like, you just have to be faster than the slowest person. No one wants that for you. But as you are running towards the stone, you see Sir Tuscandale, Beza first. Beza overtakes Sir Tuscandale and just slides into the rock work and just boom, back to the rock and just waiting. Sir Tuscandale also kind of hits the ground and still holding. Yeah, you put that dice in jail. You see Sir Tuscandale still holding Paru and Sniffs, like just kind of like protecting them in a like he has his back to the stone and he's kind of cowering. Harland, as you're racing for the rock, you hear and I need you to make a dex save.
The 17. 17.
Okay. So yeah, you're fine. And you sort of dive out of the way. You dive towards the rocks as an arrow hits just behind this like blind point, and you just feel the concussive push of all the dirt shoving towards you, and you take 3 bludgeoning damage. I also. So where are you at, Harlan? How much damage have you taken?
I've taken 10 points.
I would like you to roll a D100 for me, please.
Okie doke.
I'm so excited. Actually, hold on. That might not actually be what we're doing. I should have pulled it up. I didn't think to pull it up. I don't know why, because clearly that's what's happening. I am going to roll a D10,000.
Oh boy. I know this list.
10,000? Oh my.
D10,000.
While Angela is doing that, get your custom dice gel from Mini Boss Design. I had to get Logan to bring it to me because I was like, I need the dice gel. It's in trouble.
Seriously.
It takes a second to search the list after I get the number.
I can imagine with 10,000. Although I may need to borrow that for next Monday if that is a wild magic. With 10,000, I may borrow that from you for next week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. No.
What did...
No, it's fine. It's great.
We're all fine here.
So, you, what are you carrying on you right now, Harlan? Like, do you have anything that would be considered a weapon?
I mean, no? I think they would have taken it away at the...
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. You wouldn't have anything like that.
You know, we're both carrying torches.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Made
You would say that counts as a weapon. That's the closest thing to a weapon you have. Harlan, as you dive, you just feel this little like, oh God, I'm really freaking out. And then like there's just a shiver that runs through you, and you think it's just sort of like it's the adrenaline, right? It's the adrenaline rushing through you as you're freaking out about getting attacked. And as you sort of come up from the dust and you kind of shake yourself off and you check all your stuff. You had your torch. Let's say you had your torch like on your belt or something. And you're picking things, and it feels weird, and you pick it up, and it looks like it's like a plastic kid's toy version of a torch. Like it's got like a little fake flame. It's not plastic. Let's just say it's like a wooden replica of a torch. And so it's got like the handle, and then the fire is just clearly this sculpted wood with red and yellow and white paint all over it to make it look like fire. It is no longer. You know the funny thing about this exact situation, though, you think in your head, this is still a torch. Technically, I could light this on fire again.
And we have others.
But you just go, oh, weird. And you were able.
Amazing.
What was that, Harlan?
Like the carrots all over again.
Mm-hmm. So you scramble up and you head for the stone and you hide behind it. And Sir Tuskendale's like, "Are you all right, boy?"
Well, yeah, I'm just fine. I've just been peppered a bit. I got hit in the head times.
You'll be fine. A spry lad like you, you'll do just fine. All right, so and he looks up. All right, so there is another very large tree over there. Do you see it, Squire? And he kind of like points over there, and you.
Yeah, the one that looks like it's pointing that direction, right?
Yes, that one exactly. That will be our next stop. It should be large enough to withstand a strike from Her Majesty's bow. Are you ready to go, or do we need a moment?
I'm ready.
Very good, Squire. Had no doubt. Are you both ready? And he looks. I don't know why I asked you. That's about if I'm ready. What about you, boy? Do you need a lad? Do you need a moment? Oh, quite good. All right. Harlan, you get advantage on your endurance or your constitution check because I'm nice and you're less like the adrenaline is racing through you. Everyone, give me a constitution, and we will check that. Okay.
My inspiration and re-roll that.
Yeah, sure.
Not as good, but still a 15.
15, okay. Anything better than a 15?
16.
16, okay. So, Beza and Harland, you're both like neck and neck. Get into the freaking tree! And you both pass Sir Tuskendale, who was not ready and was like, oh, all right, off we go. And he starts barreling towards the tree. You both just barely, and Harland, like, you feel like right next to you, and you kind of in your periphery see Beza like inching towards you. This is not a race, but at the same time, you're both trying to hit. You hit the back of the tree, and this tree is very, very wide. It's like wide. We're gonna say wide enough for all of you to kind of crouch behind it. And you hit the back of the tree, and Beza right behind you, and splinters fly as she connects with the wood, and you're just like, oh, okay. And Sir Tuskendale is hauling trunk towards the tree. Wow, that was way more involved than I thought it was going to be when I said that. And you hear a and it fell off the table.
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay. Sir Tuskendale running, trying to serpentine, but he's an elephant. It's like, what are you going to do?
He's carrying two people.
And he's carrying two people, and he has no choice, but as you hear the and the arrow really close to you, he dives around, kind of holds you, and you're all rolling. And he clearly, you hear a sort of noise as he is clearly kind of shaken a bit in the impact, both the impact of rocks hitting him and dirt, but also just the act of throwing himself. But he has managed to cradle you like a precious football, and you are uninjured in the effort. And he just sort of rolls onto his back. Oh, you should go to the tree. I'll get up.
You be
Yeah, I'm
okay?
gonna be fine.
Okay.
It's fine. I am a knight. I will be fine. All right.
Let's go.
He hauled, and you both. He got very close before the arrow hit, and you're all behind the tree. Sir Tuskendale's like, oh, all right, that was very good, everyone. It looks, if we make a final sprint, we could probably make it to the tower. Oh gosh.
What if we all split up in different directions to run towards the tower, like we all kind of like, yeah.
Oh my, that is a bold strategy. Oh yes, perhaps that would work. We could do such a thing. Let's see. Where do we have? There's another rock over there and a tree, and all of that. That looks like a wagon or something. I'm just assuming. And yes, so there are a few places we could go, and then the last leg would be to the tower itself. So it'd be a shorter run rather than trying to make it twice as far. If you all are willing, and I will sound the alarm when it is time to go for the tower. Does that sound acceptable to everyone?
All right. I'll take whichever of those things you said is the smallest, because I'm the smallest.
Very well, that would be the rock.
Whichever one's the bluest.
The wagon has the greatest potential to be blue, I suppose, if you painted it.
Just sounds like home.
Sure. And that I think that means the three of us are taking the tree, little one.
Okay.
All right. Oh, all right, on my mark, everyone. Steady. And he seems like he might be telling himself that. I think I'll go. I need everyone to give me one last one second to last Constitution check.
That was a face, Kyle.
It's almost real good.
Mm-hmm.
Beza got a 24.
Okay. So you got a 19, Harland? Presumably.
Well, the 19 is right above the number I got.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. So what'd you get total?
2.
Oh my. Okay,
That's a
a 2?
1.
Okay, Beza, give me a number between 1 and 3.
2.
Harlan, give me a 1 or a 3. Did you say the number?
I said 3.
3, okay. Sorry. All right. Seeing who the arrow goes for. Sir Tuskendale. So the largest thing on the field, clearly. So Beza, Harlan, you both sprint out from behind this tree, heading for your respective hiding spots. And Sir Tuskendale, honestly, Sir Tuskendale, as he's running, well, no, he's holding someone. He wouldn't do that. Never mind. He also is making a concerted effort to sprint towards the tree. He is in a one-track, protect the small mushroom people in his arms, and head for the tree. And you see him kind of a little slower, and you hear and he is able to, he like jukes it. He like does a little spinny and like starts keep sprinting, and he actually manages to continue on his feet. You do see a few bits of rock shrapnel hit him. You also feel, right as he's heading for the tree, a boom, and you hear him kind of oof. And he, instead of diving, definitely just falls really close to the tree and just kind of lets go to let you both roll again towards the tree. And it does take him quite a bit of time to get up. He's a little, that hurt. It looked like when you look back, there was a very large chunk of the arrow that had splintered off and smacked him like right in the back. So he's a little disheveled right now. But he gets up, and you hear kind of coming up, and you see down the battle, like down the field, you see Dunbus barreling towards Sir Tuskendale, and he has clearly been sprinting towards his master, and you see him kind of sidle up and kind of shoulder check Sir Tuskendale, and kind of get him to his feet, and Sir Tuskendale kind of latches onto the saddle, and Dunbus runs the rest of the way to get him to the tree. All right, last go of it.
Do you want me to blow the horn real quick just to see if it helps? Now that we're closer, maybe you couldn't hear it last time.
Very good. Yes, that would be. Do you have the lungs for that, little one?
I am very loud when I need to be. You rest. You have been carrying us everywhere. You need a minute.
Very well. Go ahead. You have to get quite in there, though.
Yeah.
There's no mouthpiece. You have to put your head in.
She does. She just sticks her entire head in it.
Hey, stop shooting at us! We're friends! God damn it!
All that comes out when you do that is an angry staccato hunting horn sounds very much like an angry giant version of a Peanuts parent. But you do get the concept. You do get it. And he went, "An unorthodox method. Perhaps it'll work." And Sir Tuscandale's kind of just holding his side while he's standing up against the tree. And you kind of wait. I don't hear anything yet.
I don't know how to heal yet, so I can't help.
Well, here's the sunny side is that we have Dunbus here. Valiant effort, boy. And pats the rhinoceros panther on the side, and it's got his horns and his paws, and he just kind of like... we have him now, so perhaps that will make the going a little easier for the final trek. Get on board. And he kind of gives you both a boost. With Sniffs, he just kind of picks him up and pops him off. All right. And he just kind of hauls himself up in front. And Harlan and Beza, you see a lot of this. And now you see them mounted on Dunbus, ready to make another sprint. And Sir Tuscandale reaches down. He sort of waves to kind of indicate he's alive. Like a thumbs up. There's a thumbs up from him. And he reaches down with his tusk into the horn. Yeah, go for it.
Is the wagon that I'm behind, is it like
it's decrepit. Yeah. It's heavy, but it's kind of it's on its last legs. It's like a broken axle. You'd have to spend a lot of time fixing it in Oregon Trail. So you
bears in weeks. We're definitely gonna die.
You better get out of here before you catch dysentery. So Sir Tuscandale puts his trunk into the horn and just starts like he just kind of kicks the side of Dunbus and sprint. Everybody give me one last Constitution check.
You want me to go ahead and... Oh, you got it.
I got it.
So it's not as good. 10.
10. Okay. 5. Okay. It's fine. He rolled a 4, so it's fine. But we're going to stick to the same numbers. I'm going to roll again. Sir Tuscandale. He seems to be once again the largest target. And you hear as you're going one last and just a freeze frame. Oh, how those Duke boys gonna get out of this one? Every so often, Kyle, I'm gonna need you to do that for me. That narration in Harlan's voice.
I should just Duke slide
how those
Fable
boys gonna get out of this one? That's not that bad. Okay, so what I was actually rolling for was Dunbus, and you all and as the gigantic arrow hits the ground again, more dirt flies, more rocks everywhere, and one of them smacks Dunbus's leg, and he kind of like, whoa. But he manages to stay up. It is just enough to kind of throw him off a little bit, but he does skid and slide and slam into the side of the tower. Just like, and you all kind of bang the side of the tower, take another 1 bludgeoning damage from that, just the concussive effort of hitting the wall. So Paro, you do take a damage doing that. And Sniffs, I'm never gonna get tired of this, Sniffs, and he's just kind of flat for a second, and he kind of peels his face off, and the little cone pops back. Ooh, and he just shakes his I don't know what those are called, cap? Shakes his cap. And Sir Tuskendale just sort of pats Dunbus and looks up, and there's like a roof edge on it that seems to indicate that you are not in danger of being shot at again. Okay. All right. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad at all. See, we could make it. I knew we could. We were valiant effort. Very good, Squire. And you, Blue Twins, you did a great job.
Twins? Where,
He sort of shakes his head a little bit. Oh, sorry. Just a bit of a knock there. Ooh, all right.
Paru looks messed up.
Oh no.
I'm at 6 out of
Covered in
21
dirt.
hit points.
Just covered in dirt and mud, and normally you'd go, oh, she's probably happy about that, and
No.
not looking good.
Not looking good.
Sniffs is just kind of like next to you, and he's like holding onto your hand. And
Her hat's like all askew.
oh no.
Oops.
You get my
Check them.
Falls out.
Check your inventory. How are the mushrooms?
Okay.
Okay,
Alright, okay.
that's good.
Okay.
It's just a little, just a little stewed. It's fine. So Sir Tuskendale hauls off of Dunbus, and a little wobbly heads to the door, the front entryway of this tower. There is a step. There are steps that go up, and in the doorway is another one of those like sort of handle, like opening door handles, sort of ring handles. That's what I was thinking of. And Dunbus is like, or not Dunbus, Tuskendale. All right, let's give this one more go. All right, and he puts his hand around the handle and hauls, and the door goes as he pulls it open. Doesn't pull it all the way. The moment it gets wide enough for him to slip through, he stops. All right, so onward and upward then. There's a stairwell that will head to the top of the overlook, and we will perhaps ascertain what is happening. Something is very wrong if she could not sense the power of the rune. It would have alerted to her as one of her people. So either something is wrong with the rune, or something is wrong with my lady.
So yeah, on that note, it's obvious that, she might be, like firing trees at us once we get up there. So, are there any sort of like, bandages or, first aid kits or anything like that might be found inside this overlook here?
Oh, yes, of course. This is a hunter's lodge, to be sure. There is plenty to be concerned with the issues of patching oneself up after a rough hunt. So we will get you patched up, little Paru. No, do not fret. And he picks. May I? Once more. Thank you. And he picks you up, just kind of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. He gets up and he walks you inside.
I just realized she
and,
really is generally the size of a toddler, considering she's a 3-year-old goblin. I mean, she's real small.
So Beza and Harland, you follow Sir Tuskendale, I presume?
Yep.
Dunbus is just kind of like collapsed on the ground, like boom, and he's just kind of resting, and you just hear, and then he starts eating some grass on the ground. He seems okay. He's just tired. So yeah, Sir Dunbus leads you inside, and it looks very similar in aesthetic and decor as the Queen's throne room that you saw before, except this is a different room. It is spiraling staircase upwards, and there are a couple of large tables here in the front room. Rather, not the front room. It's all just one room. It's a very simple tower. And on the tables, there are various like hunting equipment. Things like there's water skins and some basic armor, some cloaks, different levels of weather clothing for different seasons. There's a bunch of boots on the ground in various sizes, as well as some on the wall. There are some what seem to be magical items, including a number of potions. Little bottles that Sir Tuskendale kind of scans through them and reaches for one on the top shelf. You feel very special, Paru, that he got top shelf for you. And it is a golden hued potion that he pops open and offers to you. Here you are, my dear. Perhaps this will help with what ails you.
Thank you. Is there one for Harlan too? I think he got a little beat up.
Of course. And he hands one from like a middle shelf, for you, Harlan. It's a red potion, kind of sparkly.
She is going to drink
All
the
sorts of
potion.
shiny stuff.
Awesome. So, Paru, you got a let's see. You got a potion of superior, and Harlan, you got a regular healing potion. So 2d4 plus 2 for you, Harlan, and Paru, you got 8d4 plus 8.
Got 6 back.
Okay.
I am back at full.
Yay.
And Sir Tuskendale's like, "How are you feeling, my boy?"
Oh, I'm doing just fine.
Alright.
It weren't nothing but a scratch first time, but it was a pretty deep one though.
Sure. Squire, you are good to go, I assume, based on you not requiring or asking for first aid.
I'm all right.
Excellent. Well, then I suppose you and I should take leave while these two rest, as we approach Her Lady's perch on the overlook.
I'm good to come with.
Well, of course, I just meant in terms of marching order.
Ah, yes.
Right. Okay.
Sounds good.
Right.
You
We
are more
like-
than welcome to assist.
Could we cover ourselves in some of these like furs and thick padded things that might blunt some of this rather cacophonous damage that is coming our way?
That is not a bad idea. I suppose there might be a mix, actually, of protection while also disguising you as one of our order. Not that seems to actually be helping anything, but we
Right.
can always give it a try.
We also upend these tables and face them towards the top of the stairs, so that way we won't be able to hide behind them during a hasty retreat.
Your friend here is very astute in the ways of strategy.
Can we also just leave the door open so that way we can just get right out there?
Oh,
in
sure,
case
certainly.
we hightail that away. All right.
Yes. So you each, let me pull up what you're grabbing. I'm trying to remember if fur armor is a thing. No, it's not. I'm thinking Diablo or something. or Skyrim. I'm thinking of Skyrim. Where fur armor is a thing.
I'm sure there's some hunting leathers, though. There might be some leather
Sure.
armor.
No, there's some leather there, so you guys can add a little bit of leather armor too. So basically, if you don't have, just give yourself an AC of 11 plus your dex. So yeah, you got leather armor, essentially.
Beza doesn't take any armor.
That's fine.
Beza is the armor.
Ha.
Yeah, pretty much.
You are all suited up and getting ready to go up the stairs, I assume. Yeah. So Sir Tuscandale, still not really, not changed, just still in his armor. All right.
Well, before we head upstairs, shouldn't you take one of those potions too?
And he kind of takes offense. I suppose.
Like,
At least
fair play.
something, even if you don't take the big one. Just because there's a lot of us here, and you gotta protect the little ones, so it makes sense if you're at your full capacity.
Quite right, Squire. He takes the bullshit you're serving, and approves of it.
Sandbag's got to have thing that got to put to work.
So he grabs a sort of orangey health potion, and rolls for health potion.
Rolls for health potion.
Yep. Because
I enjoy rolls for health potion. That's very good.
I would like to continue having a knight to be a squire too.
that's fair. Okay, so he gets 12 back. Feeling a little better. You see him sort of like straighten up a little bit. He's not not really stumbling as much anymore. He's a little better on his feet. All right. Well, I suppose the intention here is to gain entry to the upper levels of the Overlook, and to try to ascertain what is happening to Her Majesty, and if we can perhaps persuade her to fight whatever it is that might have overcome her, or whatever sort of perception issues she is experiencing, and try to assist as best we can, as our order is wont to do. Onward and upward. And
Hurry.
Should we take her some food? She might just be grumpy.
What was that, Harland?
Should we take her some food? Because she might be grumpy. I know,
you want yourself when you're hungry.
Great grandmammy always gets real ornery when she hadn't had nothing to eat.
I am not sure if food is really the concern. It wouldn't hurt, I suppose. He's a little lost for ideas, so sure. Harland, you see that there is sort of a kitchen off to the side.
Sorry for slowing things down, but what is she like?
What is she like, or what does she like? Those are very different questions.
She likes to eat. What is her favorite thing that she might, consume or imbibe?
Oh, she is a very staunch supporter of dire mead.
Great, y'all got any of that around here?
Yeah, there should be some very large tankards and some very large jars that you should be able to find in the. I'll just come with you. And he
Must be some bees these came from.
Oh yes, dire bumbles. They are quite. They seem quite ferocious, but they're really just cuddly. It's fine. They're delightful.
Forever long.
I want to love on the dire bees because of course I do.
Love it.
Yes, it's quite fun to watch them during the springtime. They just dive bomb into the larger flowers, and you just see their little butts just. It's very funny. Reminds me a bit of when Dunbus gets into the mud.
I love it.
They just have themselves a rip-roaring good time. So he leads you into the kitchen. What was that, Harland?
All right, that sounds good. Sorry for delaying everybody.
That is a fair alternative strategy. So he leads you into the kitchen. It's not much of a kitchen. This might be just like a break room, and you find these jugs of dire honey, and they are very large. And Sir Dunbus grabs one of them and is like, well, we could bring the whole thing, or we could just prepare a cup for her. What do you think?
It's a token gesture. I think a cup would be just fine.
All right. Just hold it here.
Possible weapon, the whole job makes more sense because we can light it on fire.
Oh my! I suppose it would be slightly flammable. Sure. Well, let's just split it both ways, shall we? Young sir, would you please grab one of those tankards, and I will pour some in for you to hold.
I could do that.
Thank you. And he pours. It's just a barrel, basically, in terms of your size, and he peeks it over, and it's like a single giant drop. It's a little more viscous than you were expecting. It's not honey, obviously, but this mead is a little more viscous than you were thinking it was going to be. And yeah, you can. He hands you a napkin that you can put over the top.
That way they know I'm not done with it yet.
So Sir Tuskendale, still with the branch in hand, seems committed to using it, starts ascending the spiral stairs. Now, from what you saw, the tower had several stories on it to get to the top, from how tall it was, and there were some windows on the sides. So he takes you around the first 2 stories of the tower, where there seemed to be a mix of, there's a map. One of the entire floors is like a map room. It's got very elaborate and detailed mappings of this whole forest, even some places that are outside the realm of Her Majesty of the Hunt. There are lots of markings. You see there's almost like, not troop movements, but like rangers have been marked in different regions. There are certain people assigned to certain areas in the forest, in the mountains adjacent, and things like that. There were sort of some, like, there's a bit of a murder wall vibe sometimes, where there's like a little peg and then like some string. So they're triangulating locations. There seem to be different ways of tracking things, and they seem to embrace all of them. This is a much more like statistician sort of way of doing it. And so you pass that room on the second story, and then the third story is an armory, something a little more substantial than the stuff at the bottom. Dozens of finely crafted bows and like barrels of arrows, normal sized arrows, not tree sized ones, and just pretty much any kind of weaponry that would be useful, or equipment that would be useful in the hunting of quarry or like war, are all there. And there's also sort of a sort of blacksmithy station, a couple of those. There's a big pit, like a big fire pit, things like that. And as you reach the next story up, you see a lot of the same stuff, like just other things that would be in this tower, things that you would need for hunting or for having like an adventurer's tower. And so you continue climbing, and Sir Tuskendale is getting a little quieter as he walks up, with a little bit of a reverence, not irreverence. No, he suddenly has a cigar in his mouth. No, he has.
It's like this.
He's very reverent right now. He's climbing a place that seems to matter a lot to him, and Beza, it seems like occasionally he glances to you and he wants to start pontificating about what this place is, but it seems like quiet is a better way to approach things. And so he is rising up in the tower. You are all following him, and you hear, and you don't hear a crash for a very long time, and then in the distance you hear and you all stopped at the sound of the loosening of an arrow. This time it was preceded by a very tight, very like large sound of a bowstring being pulled back. And then you hear someone walking, heavy footsteps, and lifting something heavy. And then more fiddling with something, and and you hear that a few more times as you're heading up. And Sir Tuskendale puts his hand up to kind of halt everybody. And he starts climbing the stairs a little closer and looks like he's peeking around a doorway. And Your Majesty, it is I, Sir Tuskendale, of your court. May I speak in your presence, my lady? And you hear, my knight, what is it? I am busy. My lady, it is just that their Majesties were concerned for your welfare. We were having some trouble communicating with you, and it seemed that perhaps you were in some sort of peril. Peril? Of what kind, my knight? I have been here, attending my duties. Yes, well, I can see that. But you did notice that we were approaching the tower. Did you not? There must have been a bit of a confusion. Where are you? I did not see. I only saw Quarry. And he glances down at you. Well, everyone makes mistakes. Not that you do, my lady. Not that you ever would, your Majesty. Out with it, my knight. I have more hunting to do.
About the king.
Yes, your Majesty. Well, their Majesties of the Vine and the Word were spreading some news, some unfortunate news, to your ladyship. It seems that there may be some sort of continued threat to your domains, and it would be of great import if you would check in with the rest of the court to ascertain how to deal with it. There are rumors, my lady, that the King of Tales may have returned. And you hear, and you don't hear any of the rest of the motion. And you hear, what was that, my knight?
Married to this guy
Yes.
too?
What did you say?
Was she married to this guy too?
Yeah, they were all married to him. They were all married
all
to
right.
him and
Yes,
each other.
first.
Yeah.
Yes, my lady. It is conjecture at this point, but their Majesties would like to have you join them in continuing to research the problem and perhaps to work together to figure it out. I have brought people, great hunters from their own time, from their own world. They have journeyed very far to speak of great perils they have witnessed, including an errant gauntlet of a certain foe you handedly handed there behind to Your Majesty. The gargoyle. The gargoyle. It is long gone, my knight. Of course, most assuredly, ma'am, but that it is a wrinkle, especially if his former terribleness is also still kicking. Where are these great hunters of yours? They are
Back
nearby.
here. We're back here.
Oh, yep, they're right there, Your Majesty. And he steps aside and lets you get a full view of Her Majesty of the Hunt. You see a absolutely gargantuan woman. She has very long limbs underneath green, beautiful verdant green leather armor and like robes wrapped around her and a hood. And beneath you see an incredibly large face with a flat, almost flat nose, very robust features, very angled jaw, skin a sort of sky blue, almost a little gray, kind of like a storm cloud, and her eyes are flickering with whitish yellow. Kyle, you took the hat off and I fucking died. Dear God. I love him so much. And her eyes are flickering with this like whitish yellow light as she turns to all of you. So you are far travelers then, from another world?
Yes, Your Majesty.
It's a pleasure to meet Your Majesty. And she tries to copy Sir Tuscandale's bow again.
Oh yes, Your Majesty, I have taken on a squire. Have you now? Yes, this is Squire Beza. She is incredibly skilled for her 36 hours. Pardon?
When I met Sir Tuscandale and he took me under his wing, I was only about 36 hours old. I'm closer to 48 hours old now.
See? Plenty of experience for such a small amount of time has been incredibly impressive.
Never without weapon. And she purposely points it far away from the queen. She's not aiming the weapon at the queen at all.
Sure.
But pulls out one of her swords.
Built for combat, I see.
Actually, 100% accurate. Bodyguard duties were what I was supposed to be for. But they also thought they were gonna get an automaton, and then they got me.
The queen is holding a massive bow made of what you can only assume is like the bones of something huge, like a rib bone sort of shape, but supple. And the string on it is as thick as rope. And you see piled on the roof it's just logs, essentially. They're sharpened. You got a decent look when you were getting fired at, but now they're like barbed and carved in very almost beautifully. There is no bark on them anymore, but what you do see is other runes on them, single runes. Harland, when you see some of these runes on the arrows for her bow, you see other concepts, not just the friend one that you saw before. You see ones that are like essentially boom. It's kind of it's like a thunder strike or a lightning strike, that sort of rune. It implies that sort of power of a storm. And there's also one on the handle of her bow that you can't quite see well. It's like where her hand is.
Harlan is going to very hesitantly in attempt to introduce himself in giant.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Your Highness, it is my greatest pleasance to have made your acquaintanceship on this after day. Thank you for your hospitality.
I love him so much. So, Harlan.
And he'll hold out the drinking thing.
Oh, okay. Her head quirks a little as you speak, and she puts her bow down and kneels closer to your height. She does not seem to be someone who shrinks for others' comfort. And she takes the tankard from you and says in a gentle but rumbling giant back to you, "A child of my children. Interesting. You come from very far away. I like your ears." And she stands back up and basically downs the entire mead in one gulp. Sir Tuskendale, "Yes, well, your majesty," and she puts a finger out as she finishes the drink. Harlan,
She said that she was my great grandma.
"You speak her language. I have to assume there was some sort of respect she was bestowing upon you. Perhaps it was just symbolic."
Maybe. Yeah. All right, that's fine. I've never been in this kind of situation before. This is untreated waters.
You're doing great.
Her Majesty finishes her drink and hurls the tankard off the tower. Another sort of vibe. You hear but Harland, she puts the bow down. Do you actually look to try to see what's on the bow?
I think
You
you'd
could
follow.
see
I think you'd follow the motion, like as she was setting it down.
Sure. You see on the bow a rune that is something akin to like keen sight. It implies sort of your vision seeing very far. It's got some elements that kind of mean like eagle. Has some things that sort of mean like distance, far away, things like that. Give me a perception check.
That is a 12.
Okay. There does the arrows and the tree. The runes had a sort of softness to the shape and like they were very finely crafted. And you see the same with the one on the bow, except there's like a slight jagged edge to one of the ends of the rune. Very unlike everything else you've seen so far. The arrows don't have that. The I guess the friendship stick didn't have that. The branch. And yeah, so you notice that there's something a little weird about the one on the bow. At least from what you've observed.
Y'all, I think I figured it out. Follow my lead on this, I guess.
Yeah.
Uncharted water.
You can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
Do you need a lesson in court decorum, young boy?
Yeah, I'm plenty well dressed, thanks. Your Majesty, I could not help but notice the great.
Are you speaking in Giant right now, or are you speaking in Common?
Yeah, he's trying to lean into it.
Giant. Okay.
The great accurateness with your
accuracy.
With your shoot stick, and it hurt most splendiferously.
That one he knows. Amazing. Continue. She goes, no, please continue to flatter me.
My humble personage could not help but notice that the artisanal nature of the art scritches on your bow is wrongness. Yeah, that's
wrongness.
Is wrongness. That's about all I got, folks. That's all I got. I fell asleep during that class.
Art scritches is wrongness. Again.
She seems very confused and a little impatient with your speech pattern, but she does listen.
He'll like just like at the eyebrow cock. I think he's gonna like try like. He's a little insightful. He's just an idiot.
Sure, he gets a sense that she's just like.
So he'll like walk over and be like, "This is prettyful, and this is not dirt.
Shitiful." What was that? I'm sorry, I got too amused. Night dirt?
Yeah, it's shit. It's shit.
That's why prettiful and shitiful was what I was coming up with. Okay. The quirk in her expression is a bit more like rather than what. And she takes a kneel down beside you and looks at the bow. And she reaches to pick it up, and she like kind of, and as she's holding it, Harlan, give me another perception check.
Better that time. 22.
22. Harlan, as she picks it up, you see as she's studying it with her eyes very, very focused, the lightning in her eyes clouds. Like it flickers for a moment and it's dulled. It goes back to normal after a moment, but when she picks it up, it just does that. And she says this in common rather than giant, for the benefit of everyone. Kin of my kin, I fail to see what you're speaking of. This is merely the work of my hand.
It's I couldn't help but notice, and he's in common now.
Yeah,
I could not help but notice that when you picked up your most magnificent bone bow that it seemed as though you're like you was staring at the sun too long, like you'd gotten all Twitter pated for a second there. So, um, can you? I do not want to be a bore, but could you read it again, but not touch it?
Your friends make strange requests, my knight. They are strange indeed, my lady, but they have proven themselves quite insightful and quite adept at a number of things during our journey. I would beg of you, please, to indulge him once more. You did bring me mead. And she puts the bow down. And still lightning flickering, nothing changed in her eyes. So I am to study it without touching. Is
Yes.
that what you...
Yes. Sir Chipping, please pulled out your fortune stick. Could you do that? Chip and toast.
Oh, Sir Tuscan.
Could you?
Oh, yes. Your Majesty? And she looks up. Yes? What is this? It's a stick. And she looks down at the bow. That's not supposed to be just a stick, is it? No, Your Majesty, certainly not. He's still kind of... He's not like at 100%. And she looks at his armor. She kind of looks at all of you. You're still kind of covered in dirt. And she looks out onto the landscape. And even you can see the arrows stuck into the ground and like the craters left by them. You can see from here, it's just like a cacophonous dust cloud that sort of settled in the spots where the arrows hit.
We also blew the horn several times, and either we weren't heard or it did not reach Your Majesty's ears.
Very little does not.
I figured you are supremely aware of your surroundings. I thought that was incredibly odd that you would not be able to recognize the horn of your own knight.
She kind of straightens up a little bit, kind of indignant, and looks down at the bow again. And she kneels down, very much taking an effort not to pick it up. And behind her, Harland, you see this, she reaches behind her and there's a beautifully ornate handle tucked in her back, and she slips a really beautiful angled dagger from her belt. And she like gently sort of levers the bow up so she doesn't have to touch it, but she can kind of get closer to the rune. Someone has tampered with my things. She looks at you, Harland. Thank you for noticing.
I'm sure surprised I did.
And she kind of looks a little closer at the rune. Harlan, actually, everybody, give me a perception check. Harland with advantage because you've been looking at this thing for a while.
24.
24? 12, okay.
Physical stuff, yeah. Mental stuff, eh.
Not better than 24.
How'd you do, though? Okay. Well, then you two, that's enough, Harland. So Harlan and Paru, you both notice when she sort of lifts the bow up and she gets a little closer, that area where the rune is a little jagged, the rune lights up when she gets a little closer to it, but it dims to almost like a black right in that spot. And there's just like, it just doesn't match the rest of the rune reaction.
It's like
So either it's been... Go ahead.
It's like the darkened storm I saw when I tried to see if you were in trouble.
Storm? Poetic.
Just on the horizon. The other majesties, they were trying to reach you, and they could not open the door to the Overlook to come find you from your throne room. And the Lady of the Vine, her vines withered and died when trying to open the door with them. Sir Tuskendale couldn't move it either. It was... So I looked with the gift I have from the Gaba Yaga, and it's like there's a storm on the horizon.
She does a little quirk at that name. Like, not sure that's how you say it, but I'm gonna let you say it.
No one has ever corrected her yet, so it's great.
Nope.
Maybe better too.
Maybe there's another one. And she puts down the bow.
Is she all right?
She is. Her Majesty of the Vines and Her Majesty of the Word went back to Her Majesty of the Vines' throne room, and she seemed okay, but she sent us after to talk to you and try to find you so we could figure out what was happening.
No doubt looking for our other wives. It's smart. And she certainly had a good instinct to send you three. And of course you, my knight. But that was a given.
And he's like, yes, of course, Your Majesty.
And don't forget Dumbus.
Oh, is he...
He's all right, isn't he? And yes, Your Majesty, he is simply grazing on the ground. He's fine. Not much for stairs.
Good.
And our little mushroom friend, he came along too.
You just see Sniff still holding onto Paru's hand.
You're from my realm.
And he reaches for his cap, but then, like, looks up at you, Paru, like you also have, like... Oh, do you put that on his head? Ah! Yes. And so you put it on his head and you lift it a little bit and he like bows a bit. And then you put it back on his head and then you put it back on your head. It's very well choreographed considering you've never done that before.
Not just staying in place while he's like...
Yeah. And she's like, it is good to meet one of my... I don't like the words that they use for the queens. It's never quite fit me very well. Well, it's wonderful to meet you. And she puts a finger out at him, and he's just like, let's go. That's literally like the size difference between them. He is very tiny.
He has been incredibly brave, as is suited to one of your kingdom.
Well, I will have to deal with this.
And she sits down on the rooftop, on the ledge of the rooftop. And it's not like an angled rooftop, it's like a flat space you guys are on. I'll send a picture later. Kyle knows exactly what it looks like. And she sits down and without touching the bow, she puts her hands over it. And with a very sort of like following the angle of the bow, you see the rune light up and flicker a little bit. And then there's sort of a she kind of blows out air, and as she does, like dust kind of kicks up, and it's like the rune was made of sand, and it just goes and disappears off the bow, leaving only the little notch that had been made at the end of the shape with that little bit of darkness in it. There you are. And she says to Sir Tuskendale, "This should be destroyed, but it should probably be brought to the court first for examination. Uncertain how to transport it, but it only seemed that I could not see what I was meant not to hunt. I'm not sure traveling with it would be terribly dangerous if it was merely meant to be carried. You could perhaps make a sling, my knight." "Of course, Your Majesty, I will craft something right away." And he kind of turns on his heels and leaves you all on the rooftop with her. I am most grateful for your assistance. My favor is not soon forgotten.
And we will not soon forget that you have not forgotten.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
You're welcome, Squire. You have found yourself a very brave and very much not a fair weather companion.
Been very good to me so far. He forgot the order of some of the rules, but we fixed it.
To be honest, he's a bit more of a stickler for them than I am.
That's good to know.
He done real good today, Your Majesty. He made sure that Mr. Meepers over there and Paru both made it here intact, that at great risk to life and limb for himself. So if you were to offer him a reward, I am sure that it would not go unappreciated, even though he would be likely to refuse it.
I'm sure. We'll take it under advisement. I'm sure he has earned some sort of accolade for our order. If not, we will have to conjure one. And she looks to you, Beza, kneeling again. You say you were built for combat?
Yep. Well, I guess technically I was built to defend from combat. I've been told, I don't really know that much. I've been told that I'm a Goa, and I'm made out of air shale and some metal pots that make all my joints move right, because my sculptor or father, whatever you want to call him, he thought I was going to be an automaton and a bodyguard, and then when he activated me, he discovered that he should have used a little less air shale, and he got me instead.
I have not heard of this air shale, but may I? And she kind of offers you to give her your hand.
Or put her hand out.
Is your hand mostly air shale, or is it mostly mechanical?
The way I was picturing it, like the reason he screwed up so bad is because basically all of the big chunks that don't require movement
are air shale. So it's like connected air shale.
Yeah, because
Sure.
he thought it would make it more magical resistant or whatever he was going for. And
Sure.
then oops.
She asks for your hand, and she kind of looks at your palm and at the back of your hand and at your knuckles, and she's fascinated. She's very like gingerly looking over your hand. Curious. It seems to want to be something different, something new. You are certainly new.
I've been told that before. I was definitely unexpected and uncalculated for, according to the authorities back home.
She continues studying your hand. If you are to be Sir Tuskendale's squire, it would behoove you to learn as much as you could of martial prowess from him. You will learn quite a bit. But I would ask you to also take a lesson or two from myself, if that is of interest.
That'd be fantastic.
Very good. You may not have been accounted for, but we carve our own destinies. Well, and Sir Tuskendale comes up with already having fashioned something. It looks a little ramshackle, but it seems to be a mix of like a cast sling with some leather reinforcements that he really quickly sort of patched together, and it kind of sits under his arm. And he's like, "Your Majesty, I have brought you the required accoutrement." Very well. Excellently crafted as usual, Sir Tuskendale, and absolutely quick as expected. And she takes the sling from him and actually puts it under her own arm. This will do. Thank you. Of course, Your Majesty. It is my utmost pleasure and lifelong earnest attempt to please you and to do you honor. Will you do us all honor, my knight? And she turns to all of you and says, "Well, perhaps we should attempt to adjourn to the throne room. See if perhaps we can enter from this side. So Tuskendale will show you the way, and I will meet you all downstairs." And Tuskendale and her both like take the sling and basically use it together to pick up the bow, and she kind of puts it on her shoulder to hang it slung over so she doesn't have to touch it. It's wrapped in a way that she wouldn't have to touch it. And when she says, "I'll see you all downstairs," she takes one step back towards the edge of the tower, puts her hand down on the ledge, and just hops off and just disappears. And you all, in a moment of sort of like, oh shit, kind of like glance down, and you see her just rappelling down the tower, sliding sometimes, and just like catching ledges where she can. You realize partly because that door to get downstairs is way too small for her. And again, she does not seem like someone who, if she can make herself smaller, she chooses not to.
Angela, I'm too gay for this shit. Why do you do this to me?
I'm just making my own heroes, okay?
Not like you and I share a type at all.
Right. Beza looks at Sir Tuskendale. She's badass.
I told you, she is awesome.
Well, ferret.
To the to the bottom floors. Come, squire. Come temporary squires.
Onward!
That was almost water out my nose.
Onward and downward. And you all head down the stairs again. There is one like row down from the tower, or from the bottom floor that you were in. There's like a lower floor, and he takes you down the spiral down to the lower floor. And in the lower floor, it is much bigger. That spiral is very deep, like the angle changes. Suddenly you're in a room that is 30 feet tall. And on this, it's very simple. It's again that sort of stonework. There's some carpeting, there's some rugs on the floor that seem to be like finely tapestried rugs. And you have this very large familiar door on this side. There's torches dotting the room, filling it with a dark, warm glow. You're getting the sense of this is very similar to the throne room that you were in previously. And Her Majesty appears from a shadow, like off to the side, and is just perfectly capable of standing upright here. Well, we will have to see if we have similar troubles on this side. She's holding the bow slung over her shoulder, and she lifts her hand, and there is a blue flicker from her palm. And then she lifts her other hand, and there is another blue flicker from her palm. And as she reaches out for the handles, she holds them down, and just like lightning bending, just a shot of blue energy, fiery, hot, white energy, just cascading down her arms and into her hands and across the door. And there's like this kind of flickering in the air. Harland, all your hair stands up on end. Everybody feels that if they have hair to feel. And there is a like creaking, an angry creaking in the door. And Sir Tuskendale's like, "Oh, you may want to stand back a little bit, my friends. She is not taking chances this evening." And he kind of backs up and like kind of like a mama duck kind of like scoots you behind him, and he sort of puffs his head out and then uses his steel plate mail to kind of guard his own face. And as he does that, the door explodes. just a shrapnel of splinters and wood pieces and like chunks of iron hinges, things, just everything goes flying. You hear a ding as like a hinge hits Sir Tuskendale in the gauntlet. And Her Majesty of the Hunt lowers her hands, still holding the doorknobs, and there's just lightning on these iron doorknobs. And she lets them drop. And on the other side of the door, there's smoke. Some of the wood is charred and like still burning a little bit. And she steps in. The door was tall enough for her. And you see the throne room that you saw before. And she steps inside. "Anyone home?" she calls out. And do you follow her as she heads in? Sir Tuskendale also led the way, so you all follow him. And you hear from around a fire, like there's a fireplace. You see from around one of the fires, Her Lady of the Word step around. "Was that terribly necessary, my dear?" "Of course not, but where's the fun in that?"
Effective.
Very. Well, I'm glad to see you're all right. for now, we have something to discuss and something to destroy, potentially.
And she lifts up the sling and drops it on the ground.
My belongings have been tampered with. 2 guesses by whom?
And her Lady of the Word looks very gravely at the bow.
Lovely. Well, let us adjourn then.
And Her Majesty of the Hunt steps forward to the to one of the fireplaces this time, not to the center of the room, and just kind of leans on the mantle of the fireplace and stares into the fire for a moment. And the room starts to shift again. She seems almost reclining, like relaxing at the fire. And the room starts to shift. And Angela checks her notes for who we haven't met yet. I just want to make sure I have my notes correct.
We've met Hunt, Word, and Vine.
Right. So, it changes again into a very simply constructed, but still very impressive in scope, room of wood. Actually, carpentered wood. I don't know the word for that. Made by a carpenter. Wood. And it seems like you're almost in for lack of a better explanation, it kind of looks like an operating theater. There are seats all around above you, and those seats are filled with people. Quiet, silent, very patiently. People of all shapes and sizes. You see people that sort of look like human. You see elves and minotaurs. You see little mushroom people. You see things you've never seen before, bestial individuals. A few giants, not as big as Her Majesty of the Hunt. A couple of Loxodon. Anything. It's a menagerie is a terrible word for it because they're people, not animals. But there is a huge diversity of people in the audience of this room. And you see that all of the seats are filled. All the thrones. Sorry, let me clarify. But you gather based off of the room and how many witnesses you have, that this perhaps is the one this belongs to, the queen whose throne is covered in handprints. All different styles of people, all different sizes and shapes, coating a very simple wooden throne. And you see before you a very very lovely green-skinned woman. She is slender, almost like serpentine, and she has a lovely bit of scaling, like going up her temples and down her throat and across her arms, and her fingers are very tapered and thin, and she's wearing very simple clothing, not very ostentatious, not very regal, to be honest. And her eyes are a very very light blue, but entirely blue, and there are little slits on either side of her, in both of her eyes instead of pupils. and she watches you all with kind of a very calm, welcoming energy, despite how sort of intense she looks in her face. And she stands and says, "Well, I suppose we should welcome you. Everyone say hello to our new friends." And you hear like sort of smattering of cheering from the crowd around you. Sorry for the bit of a fuss, but we are, after all, having a bit of a communal conversation. It seemed appropriate we include some members of our realms in this. We don't keep secrets around here. At least I don't. And she looks around to everybody else. You see a few eye rolls. And, all right, well, come on a little closer. Let's have a look at you. And you see Sir Tuskendale kind of give a little bit of a bow, not as deep as he does to his own queen, but enough. And she steps forward. She's wearing, like I said, she's wearing kind of peasant garb, or at least she's very simple. And so this woman, she starts hunching over a little bit, but then she kind of straightens up again as she shrinks down to a reasonable 6 feet, maybe. You may refer to me as Her Majesty of the Folk. That's very kindly to meet you. I shall be running these proceedings, as I insisted that we don't keep anything a secret. Secrets don't make friends, and friends don't make secrets. You know how it is. And Her Majesty of the Hunt is taking her seat. Do we need those pleasantries? I believe we have dark tidings to discuss. And she sits down on her antler throne, kind of swagger. She's sitting like a Jarl from Skyrim. It's that kind of vibe. You know exactly what I'm saying. No, she's not sitting in a chair like a bisexual, Tessa. She's sitting in her chair like a Jarl.
But I only know how to sit like a bisexual. I don't know how to sit like a girl. I don't have options here.
And so she, Her Majesty of the Folk, in a very unorthodox move, one assumes, from a queen of what you have started to assume might be Fae, she sits cross-legged down in front of you all, and says, "Well then, I suppose you should weave the tale then.
I love her so much.
We're all absolutely captive audience, if you'd like to share. And then perhaps we can talk to you about how you're going to help us kill our husband." And that is where we're going to end tonight.
The frying pan into the fire seemed to describe the group.
Yep. I will say, when she says that, there is a bit of an uproar from the queens, like, hold on, wait a minute. There's a bit of that happening, and then there's the crowd cheering. So you are very much
Oliver's Twist Fagin
no spotlight
vibe from her. I love it. I love her so much.
Excuse me, Mouse. I would like to be clear. It's helping with a regicide. All right. I just want to make sure we're clear about this. It's not just a murder.
We've been killed once already, so we're actually killing the undead.
It's true.
We're just
it's
returning things to natural.
Re-regicide.
Re-regicide. Repeat regicide. Got it.
All right. So that's the end of chapter 4. Their Majesties. And we will be here next week, hopefully with our fourth party member who plays Oliette. When Chris returns, we will explore what the hell has been going on with Oliette and Villain the last few episodes. Not that much time has passed, and so it'll be interesting to find out where those two have found themselves. And while you all are very much in the middle of some sort of queen's moot, and Angela will prepare the rest of the queens, because I stopped the episode because I was not prepared to describe them all. We will learn more about the other queens as we go. I did not tell you what the other queens were, did I? You don't know who they are, like what their titles are. Okay, good. Just want
No,
to make sure.
I think at one point you rattled off some of them.
At least what the thrones look like.
Yeah, but we didn't actually get a full-on list of like every single one.
Sure. Yeah, Oleada's just found a library. She's just been hanging out this whole time, and Velane's just been taking a nap. And then they're like, "Hey guys, what's up? Oh, that's weird. You got put on some sort of like mystical quest. Boring." All right, everybody. So that's what we've got for you tonight. It was an absolute pleasure, and I made it to 3 hours almost exactly. Fuck yeah! I'm so proud of myself, and I'm very proud of you all. I've missed having you all playing. I'm very, very excited to continue our story. The plot is thickening, and I look forward to continuing our tale with you. As we've said, this is Shenanigoons. We are in our third campaign called The Book of Faebles. We will continue with our adventures next week, same time and place, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, here on Nerdsmith's Twitch, which is We Are Nerdsmith. And you can find us here on Twitch or on Twitter at the same username. And if you follow us in both places, you'll definitely get the heads up when we go live with any of our shows. Tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I flipped those around. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I will be hosting Discover RPG. I still have yet to figure out what I'm going to do. I've been having a lot of fun playing the Yogg with a few friends of mine, including my husband Andy last week. And I will be continuing to explore telling. Oh, thank you, Anonymous, for gifting subscriber or subs. And there's a mushroom. So Anonymous, Stamped Steel, and Lasalante Ariel. Enjoy your subscriptions, and thank you so much for supporting us. That's right, we're getting. See, it's good that I made a shortened thing. We're only getting these a couple of times. All right, everybody. So, we are members of Nerdsmith. We are actually the directors, and we are so happy that we can continue having y'all here viewing the show, and we are super duper happy to be continuing with you. All right.
May I plug
that's
something
all
really quickly?
Of course, please plug something.
Next Monday, here,
Yes.
7 p.m. Pacific time, we are going to be going into episode 2 of our 3 shots outlining the Frostlands of Fenrillic campaign setting for the Scarred Lands setting by Onyx Path. I have a wonderful group of players that I am leading on a chaotic merry chase around the continent that has just been released. I would love it if you guys would come and hang out, listen to a fun tale about all the things that can go wrong when you have an entire family of wild magic users in one campaign. One of them absolutely does have a knife.
No.
And that was great. Gabby pulled out a knife last night in the middle of the stream, just ready to go. Made me crack up. So yes, please come. It is a community-created setting for the Scarred Lands setting that Onyx Path does, so we're really happy to be supporting a community-created project, and that is actually now available on Drive-Thru RPG if you guys are at all curious about Arctic kind of tales. So please come and listen and enjoy the story. They just found out that their brother was forcefully taken from a spa by a gigantic polar bear.
How dare!
Removed
Did he even
from
finish his treatment?
No, removed from his hot tub by a giant polar bear and carried off. Yeah.
Before the series?
Mm-hmm. After he had so graciously given them his shield to put up as a sign for the front door as the spa. So, Yeah.
Amazing.
So please
So
come
that's
listen.
Monday.
Monday at 7 p.m.
Awesome. And then on Friday, at our I guess our normal streaming time, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, we are continuing with Nerdsmith Sings Our Heart Out, our charity karaoke party with me and a few of my friends. And we would love to have you come hang out in chat. Donations will let you ask or request songs from our set lists. So please come hang out with us. We are supporting the Bail Project. And you can find out more. Yes, and Mouse will be joining us this week. I'm very excited. So everybody, my Midwestern, I've never been to the Midwest, but my Midwestern goodbye has come to a close. Please, everyone, have a very safe and very successful week, however you define success, and take care of yourselves and each other. And please do me a favor and be good to each other. All right, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.